everybody to a SaltyChillersEntertainment. This is Hero Darkness.
Push numbers.
Anti-clowns.
And today we are discussing, I think, a very interesting topic. Pay to win. And how it's a myth. Normally when we think pay to win, our first gut instinct, and it's traditionally true, it's in mobile gaming. Yet, in recent history, back in November, when Star Wars Battlefront 2 dropped, we had and seen a little bit of that in their loot crate system on how that felt like it was a pay to win type game system. And Clown, how would you explain pay to win for those people who are not very familiar with pay to win? Or Rich, how would you explain the pay to win? Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so pay to win, in the eyes of anti-clowns, is any game that offers a pay function to give an edge on another in the game.
Okay. What would be an example, using an example from a pay to win? Because I know the three of us are in.
Yeah, so I guess the most readily available one that comes to mind is one game I'm currently playing right now. The we're all playing is Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Where there's the option to spend real-life money on in-game crystals to get pretty much anything you need in the game, whether it's to upgrade your character's moves, credits to upgrade your character's levels, or just spending on getting yourself some just some gear pieces to upgrade your characters even further.
Could you repeat that again? You kind of were a little choppy.
Yeah, my internet connection was kind of shopping in there. Basically, for Galaxy of Heroes, if our viewers haven't played that, you can spend real-life money to buy the in-game currency of crystals, which can be used to do everything in the game, from buying credits and training remotes to level up your characters, to buying gear pieces for them to upgrade with as well.
Now, have you, in your experience, felt like if you ever used your actual money for that, do you ever feel like you were being the one overpowered and you were able to win out against
I
other
never
players?
felt like I was overpowered. I mean, I'm also an incredibly humble person who's never once been overpowered before. Just kidding. But I do feel like there is an edge that's given at some point. Whether it's new characters that are released that people don't really know how to fight against. So it gives you an edge in the player versus player aspect. But in the long run, I really don't think it helps that. It just kind of speeds up the process. It's not like a, because I have this, I'm now invincible against all damage kind of thing.
So what you're saying, it speeds up the process of allowing people to be exposed to these characters, realize, these characters are really good. Let me figure out how to counter these characters. Because recently, in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, they just dropped 4 new characters from the Knights of the Old Republic game series. Mission, Zalbar, Bastila, and also Jolie. And you could spend $10 to get them up to 4 out of 7 stars, which is high, about halfway there, and then also get them to a good health level as well. And
Yeah,
about
so
halfway through their max level that you can be in the game at the current moment.
So what I noticed a lot, especially, is that Bastila herself has gotten a lot of a lot of usage. Basically, from the date of the drop, has become a very powerful leader in the PvP area, which is to be expected from a very powerful character in Knights of the Old Republic. But it's one of those things where eventually you learn how to fight him, and I feel like it just helps the players who don't pay in a lot more, because they're the ones who have to get used to fighting the character instead of using a character, because in those kind of games it's pretty easy to figure out how to use a character. It's a lot harder to figure out how to fight the character. So in the long run, I feel like it just helps the person who doesn't spend the money.
And would you say that because of that, you're not really paying to win, you're just really paying to be good for a brief moment, and that's about it?
Well, on the character aspect, yeah. But if you go and you look into like the leveling of characters and the gearing up of characters and stuff like that, you're just paying to spend a couple less days doing what the game is there for, and that's grinding. So like I could go and I could spend like $50-$60 on Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes right now, and I could level up probably a good 4 or 5 tunes to max level from level 1 and gear them up pretty good. And that would save me a couple weeks worth of grinding that I normally wouldn't really think about doing or have the desire to do. But I could also just suck it up and do it and have something fun to do while I'm, waiting for anything to happen.
So what you're saying, in my understanding, is that the whole pay-to-win, quote-unquote, is just there to help cut out on grind that you don't want to do and appeal more to what feels like the more casual audience, where they don't have the time to spend and to grind because of how their life is.
Yeah. I mean, the casual player doesn't really need or have a need to pay to win, because it's in Galaxy of Heroes at least, where they can just sit there and casually play and eventually get there. But then there's a game that came to my mind from when I originally got an iPhone. I don't know if anyone remembers this game. It's called Mafia City. So Mafia City was this game where you played as a member of the mob and you built up your own city, and you would raid other people's cities. And it got to the point where the only way you could win was by spending large amounts of money, because everything took so long to do, and you needed all of the weapons and the armor from the packs really to keep up with everyone, because everyone had spent money at that point. So by joining the game after the first day, you were already behind like a year and a half, which kind of made the game toxic in and of itself.
Yeah, that would make the game toxic within itself. I know it's interesting the pay-to-win concepts. It's like you mentioned, it's sort of more pay to beat the grind. One game, I don't know how big it is still, but it used to be very big, was Clash of Clans.
Mm-hmm.
People would literally just dump in hundreds of dollars just to get higher up in the game. But in the long run, it was just them getting up to that next tier where people spend out for some time, so not really paying to winning, they're just paying to get either caught up where all the other players are at, or just
Yeah,
having some fun.
Yeah, I feel like that's just they don't want to be behind, and they want to make their friends, they want to be up to where their friends are, especially if they join late in like a high school or collegiate level community, where you have the extremely tight-knit friend groups that you don't want to be viewed as like a weak link in those scenarios, so you try to make yourself stronger. Is that a bad thing? Not really, but it's just if you spend the time, you learn how to play the game, and you get better at it, and you get to play people at the beginning, and then move your way up to the people who've been playing, how to set their defenses and the right troops to use and things like that. Whereas when you just buy your way up there, you have no idea what you're doing. You barely know how to build a wall, let alone defend against aerial dragon attacks.
It's a dragon. Get a tower to shoot it down.
So we're just saying pay to win can also put people behind in said skill level.
Yeah, it's people are trying to buy their way through the skill level. They're just trying to, I guess, in a sporty kind of aspect, they're trying to just beat it down with strength rather than learning the intricate details of playing.
So essentially, it sounds like that sometimes the pay to win aspect, quote unquote, is more of a way to catch up if you come in late in a game's lifespan.
Yes, that's. I feel like that's the big thing behind it. Is that it can be used as a nice catch up, but you, like I said before, you lose out on a lot of the intimate parts of the game, like actually learning how to play the game.
And now, what
So I know
about other
I've come
games?
across that myself.
Now, let's take the Star Wars Battlefront 2 game scenario. I know that upon release, there was a whole lot of controversies about it. We're not going to discuss it in super detail about the whole loot box system and how people viewed that as a form of gambling with the loot boxes and things along those lines, but rather discuss what did their loot box system try to give gamers.
So I'll let Rich go first before I answer. I don't want to have a long-winded answer again.
It's all good. I know with no. Again, I think it was more pay to get ahead. It wasn't pay to win because you could be the guy who gets all the cool stock cards, have them all maxed out. But you think about it, in the end of all that madness, it was more of it could be put on for the behind since they don't know what they're doing with it. Yeah, it was powerful. Yeah, it was a maxed out, slow cooldown. But if someone else used the weapons, can easily get behind it. It was just more they had a small side advantage overall. That's what view it is more as you more pay to get advantage than pay to win. Because they're getting everything that a free player could get without paying any money faster, just taking up the grind time.
Okay, so to also explain the loot box system, for those who may not be familiar with them, is you rely on this random number generator, or RNG as it's abbreviated, where you rely on complete randomization for you to get stuff that you need. Now, whether that is a new star card for a class that you're using or for another class that you're not using, it's there for you to get something for you to improve your ability, whether it's to, as a hero, improve an ability that you use, or whether it's to improve a weapon that you use, or like weapon damage and improves like the blast radius of grenade, or have your starfighter have better health, or you can take more damage, or you can cool down faster. Those are all the things that were in these loot boxes. Just for clarification.
Yes.
Yeah, and I know that I came into Battlefront 2, I believe in like January or February after they still had loot boxes, but the loot boxes were a lot less RNG based. I mean, they were still RNG based, but the game was less dependent on the loot boxes. They were kind of there as a convenience more than a necessity. But I remember picking up the game and, playing it like I'd played, other shooters and doing just fine. Did the people who had been playing and had the cards have an advantage? Yeah. I mean, I got some really lucky draws off of the loot box myself, but I didn't view it as a I need the loot box to win. It's more of a hey, this helps, because there's an aspect of natural skill in like shooters and combat video games that can carry you for and compensate really for a lack of money and power-ups, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's what I relied on. Was a lot more like a natural skill compared to the people who naturally have bigger wallets.
Yes. Now I know some of us may have seen the video, but it's a kind of don't remember who did it, but it's the Yu-Gi-Oh! And Yugi's going to go and he's dueling Kaiba, and Kaiba's like, with this card, next card I'm going to win, and Yugi's like, is it Blue Eyes White Dragon? Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon? No, it's my credit card! And he spends loads of money to get the card that he needs to win the duel, and ultimately he ends up overspending his money. I feel like sometimes relying on, hey, let me skip out the grind, let me skip out, let me find a way to get good real quick, can sometimes hinder you, and you rely too much on that weapon that you got. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would definitely agree with that. I feel like it's kind of like it can kind of be used as like an exploit, I guess, where I don't know if anyone ever played the game on the Nintendo 64, James Bond GoldenEye, where you could give yourself a gun called the Golden Gun, which came from the movie GoldenEye, which no matter where it hit you was an instant kill. If you were good, like very good at the game, you could position yourself to where a single shot might be hard to get you, because the gun, while it could kill you very easily, the drawback to it was that it could only hold one bullet in the chamber at a time.
So reload was a thing.
Oh yeah, no, there was reload. So if you missed your one shot, someone could get you, and if they were tricky enough, they could, make you miss pretty easily, because it was on the Nintendo 64, and as much as I love the Nintendo 64, the aiming controls were much harder to use than they probably should have been.
Yes. And I feel like the whole pay money to get ahead, it works short term, because what ends up happening is you will start relying on that, and you won't be able to progress yourself past that, because you're relying solely on this good weapon or this good skill that you acquired, and now you can't get yourself off of it.
Yeah, that's the
person. The only trick you know is how to use the force push.
Yeah, and it's like, I guess going back to the game that we're all familiar with in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, is that when you watch, if there's like a player versus player aspect to these games, if you guys play those, you can see how, if there's formations and stuff, the newest release people are usually like at the top of the area, because they're brand new. People don't know how to fight them as much. But when you watch the leaderboards after about a week, they start to change, and those players start to drop a little bit, to the eventual point of either there's enough people can find a synergistic team to put behind it and make the character stay strong, or it just happens where the character just falls off eventually. I think probably one of the biggest showings of this was General Kenobi. If you guys remember when General Kenobi was released as a character, he was like the top leader out there for a decent while, and then he just kind of fell off as a leader, and most new formations outside of the Basilisk formations don't even use him in the top 20 on my shard. There might be one or two with like a Commander Luke Skywalker, but other than that, he's not used very much. And that's just kind of the fact that people have learned how to fight him, and the support that he had that was there was figured out, and figured out how to be beaten. so it's just not as useful anymore.
I think it's interesting that you bring that up. I'm curious now with apps and people claiming pay to win, how many people in games actually then use said real money in game to get the advantage?
Oh, I mean, if you look, if you watch the guilds, or our guild especially during the thing, you can just watch as people get the 7-star characters in the gear 12. I know I myself have tried to figure out how to get. Um, I have tried to do the rolls to see can I make this happen, and it didn't happen very well with Bastila. I wound up spending about $20 on packs of a random generation of about 5 to 330 shards for Bastila, equaling out to either almost absolutely nothing or all the way to the highest level or highest tier, I guess.
I always said that
And I got
because
about
you
25 shards.
Yeah, because sometimes with the way the game is set up, it's not always a guarantee with what you're after when you get stuff, or sometimes when you buy it, you already have it, and so you may have wasted your money.
Yeah.
And sometimes this, if you're a smart player, you will learn to improve your game. Your game will improve. Now, I remember reading a few months back, and I'm not exactly in agreement, but after hearing what Clown has been saying, I'm like, okay, this may actually work out in favor. The publishing studio Activision, what they want to do is put into their games kind of a pay-to-win aspect, but not really. What the idea is behind it is to place players against other, so you're fighting against other players, and in there you are going against people who have used real money to get a good weapon, and you get owned by that weapon. And it's like, hey, do you want to buy this weapon? You'll be just as awesome as this player that you just went against. Yeah, sure. Now you're going to be put in a lobby where you can showcase your weapon that you just bought to hopefully get other people to get it as well. So then, once again, people are going to say, huh, that's a really good weapon. What other weapons can I use to counter that weapon? Or what other skills can I use to counter that weapon? Now it's making the community find ways around it. As we were discussing the Galaxy of Heroes, is people have found a way to move around these top tier characters by forming up their squad by a group of 5 that you use when you go in battle to win. Essentially, it's this similar concept. And is that how you view, Clown, how the pay to win is ultimately a myth? How you're not really paying to win, you're paying to skip the grind, because most of these mobile games are more of a grindy game that you play, and so you're more paying to skip the grind is probably a better phrase.
So a real pay to win would be like you pay money and you win because you paid money, and you're guaranteed to win because you paid money. As far as I know, there is no game out there that's like, hey, you have spent the real currency on this. You have spent the green of life that the government hands out to people, and now, since you have given us the green, you shall win. Like, no game that I know gives you, like, permanent invincibility with, like, invulnerability with insta-kill weapons because of it.
Now, if you want to do that, that's what we would call a hacker.
Yes, no. And hackers, there's a special place reserved in hell for them. Just kidding. Hackers make the game fun.
Oh, especially when you're the one that's hacking.
Oh no, Dark Souls is when hackers become really fun.
And when you kill the hacker?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you mean the people who use really low, slow internet connection to win?
And I'm talking about people who make themselves literally invulnerable to win. All you have to do is gravity kills. Anyways, that's not pay to win, but just a fun fact. So yeah, so there really is no. I mean, there is a benefit short term for pay to win, and I guess the
Or
benefit long
skip the
term to pay to
grind, should
win.
we say?
Yeah, the the benefit short term is you skip the grind. The benefit long term is, hey, you skip the grind, so now you can spend time grinding other characters and or paying more money to win, I guess, in the shortest of turns. The terms again is you just keep paying. Because I know there's that feeling of, hey, I did this before and I was strong for a little bit and I want to stay strong, so I'm going to keep spending money to stay strong. And at that point, if you keep if you keep flooding money into something, you'll stay strong. Yeah. Um, and I guess that's the only way pay to win works is if you keep paying. But like a single payment shouldn't really make you win.
No, because as we discussed, you're not going to receive this invincibility, high damage, high output weapon and super armor where no one can touch you because you're practically playing as a god in the game, and
Yeah.
you're fresh out of mercy and you're going to kill everyone because you want to do that.
Yeah. And it does get annoying when you're paired against a bunch of people who do pay to win. I guess air quotes around pay to win. Just because it does make it more challenging for a casual player. But you also do learn a lot quicker that way how to get better. And once you learn how to get better, then the pay to win doesn't seem as bad because you've learned, the ins and outs of how to deal with it.
Yeah. Does anyone have any final thoughts they want to give about the pay to skip the grind or the pay to win myth and how it's not?
I think all in all, you may be getting ahead for a short while. You may be able to flash, hey guys, look what I did. But at the same time I look at it, it's something that's there to help the company make money. In the end, it helps the company make money so they can keep producing the updated game. So it's more of, I view it more this way. In the end, if you spend money in the game to get ahead, to win, you're helping the company out to help better the game, improve the game. But showing we support you and what you've been doing, I will spend said money. That's my final thoughts. It's more of, all in all, you're paying to get ahead, you're paying to win, paid to grind. You're paying to show the company you support what they're doing. You have improved what they've been doing so far.
Insert meme of Fry with the insert take my money meme.
Yes.
Essentially, is what's going on is take my money so that way you guys can keep producing it because you guys decided to release this for free, is what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah. And it's not something you really feel ashamed about if you do, pay. There's nothing wrong with it. There never really has been. I mean, you might get teased by some people, but in the end, it's your money. It's the game that you enjoy playing. So I'm all for it. I myself have spent money on games that I support. Sometimes I feel like I've spent way too much money on some games, but in the end, it's, I choose to support you as the end thing is, my support is given in the form of money.
Yeah. And my thoughts is the pay to win doesn't really exist when you take the time to learn and understand things and find ways to work around it. It to me makes you a better player at the end of the day because you're working around. And even if you do use the money, and we're not bashing on the guys who use the money, if you use
I'm
the
more
money,
thanking them.
you're helping us learn the game as well. Yes, it's not fun starting out getting pounded and pounded. At the end of the day, you're going to become better. It's going to help the person who buys the money short term, they're going to be good, but it's also going to help the people who don't have it long term. And when they get up there in the higher tiers without spending much money, they're like, okay, this guy was awesome before, but he's not anymore, but I can put this person, or I can use this in another formation or another way to help me win. And as always, guys, that share, like, subscribe button, comment, the fun stuff to make people feel proud of themselves and what they're doing with YouTube. And if you got anything you want to add in the discussion below, let us know. The likes and comments and subscriptions are always fun to have. You guys can be part of what we do. And this has been a Salty Chillers Entertainment podcast. This is Hero Darkness.
Which numbers?
Anti-clowns.
And as always, guys, stay salty.